Hello everyone, and welcome to today's episode of Microcap Mania. For this episode, I wanted to try and find something in tech that I could have in our Microcap Mania portfolio, just because we don't have a lot of offerings in tech, and really in the past 20 years, if your portfolio hasn't had some allocation into technology, you've really underperformed comparatively to the rest of the market. And so really I started with screeners, again with the idea of technology in mind, and I looked for low price to sales, low PE ratio, and really I was just trying to find something that did have growth potential, but there was already a fundamental great business model there. And I stumbled upon Turtle Beach Company. Now, Turtle Beach is a company I'm quite familiar with. I've used their products basically forever. The second I got an Xbox, I went to Best Buy to get a headset, and they took up pretty much all of the shelf space with their products. And I've never really had a bad experience with a Turtle Beach product, and I was genuinely surprised to see them trading at a microcap level. So today we're going to be looking at Turtle Beach Company. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Turtle Beach is a company that delivers high performance headphones, headsets, controllers, keyboards, mics, and even recently they've started in sim setups. So any racing sims or flight simulation stuff, they also have started trying to work in that. Now, Turtle Beach as a company was founded over 50 years ago, surprisingly, and at the time it was just a software company specifically for audio editing. So I guess it kind of makes sense that they would transition into headsets later on, but it wasn't until 2005 that the company actually released its very first headset and kind of shifted its focus as a company to trying to make actual headsets. Now, Turtle Beach is headquartered in San Diego, California, and currently it trades on the NASDAQ under the TBCH ticker symbol. Turtle Beach has been the market share leader in console headsets for over 15 years now, and it has compatibility across all the major platforms, and including PC, which they've really tried to dive into as they kind of take their branch from just specifically on console and really try and bring their dominance to the PC market as well. Now, Turtle Beach definitely in the past 3 years has evolved its product offerings due to a couple key acquisitions. They acquired Performance Design Products, which is another leading gaming accessory brand, and they have deals with popular IPs such as Fortnite and Call of Duty. And then Turtle Beach again recently just released its racing sim technology to go along with its flight simulation things. And really with all of these brands that they've acquired specifically in the past 3 years, they're trying to transition to making all of the products under the Turtle Beach brand, because that's where a lot of the brand recognition aspect comes from. Now, while Turtle Beach has definitely dominated the console market, the company has been deploying capital starting again in 2019 with its acquisition of Rocat and 2021 acquisition of Neat Microphones to branch out again into the PC market. We're going to be touching on how they're trying to branch out into the PC market quite a bit in the specific investment thesis, but in 2025, Turtle Beach will launch its very first racing sim product and add to the sim portfolio. Now, Turtle Beach already is in the largest stores for gaming products, including Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, Target, and Walmart. And it also has product options starting anywhere from $20 and going up to $650. So again, they have a very, very wide range of products at different price points to really try and capture all of the customers that need audio stuff or anything in general related to video games, basically. In 2024, Turtle Beach was the leading company by market share in both the US and in multiple international markets for console headsets. Currently, Turtle Beach products are sold in over 40 different countries, and typically Turtle Beach, as the leader in headset, enjoys the benefit of significantly more shelf space in those physical locations. And they have a much wider, diverse range of products than competitors, especially right now in console. I don't know if any of you have been to a GameStop or anything recently and kind of looked around at the products. Anything in console is really dominated by Turtle Beach right now. And it's maintained that place for several years. But so going into specifically their sales by region for 2024, North America contributed $242 million to their sales. European customers was $96.2 million, $19.1 million was North American distributors, and $15.3 was to other customers. Something to note on its sales is that currently sales are also quite seasonal for Turtle Beach, with over 45% coming in Q4, which tracks as parents get Turtle Beach products for Christmas, and also they go on sale, of course, in Q4. So again, that's something you typically see in video games as a whole, and so that's not really anything particularly to be worried about, but that is where they get the most of their business from, at least. Now, Turtle Beach does trade quite low to its placement as a top company in the industry, so kind of looking at why is that? So currently a large portion of Turtle Beach's cash flows have been going to debt repayments that came along with getting some of those acquisitions. The margins are not incredible for a technology company. Currently, they're chilling at around upper 30s. Again, in technology, you can see as high as 60 to even 80 if it's a really, really established company for their margins. But it is worth noting that over the past 3 years, these margins have definitely been increasing. Now, with the current structure, Turtle Beach is likely to have 1 to 2 quarters that do actually end up in the red net income-wise. Again, due to those things I've already mentioned, such as a lot of their cash flow going to debt repayments and their not exactly stellar margins. They require a very, very high number of sales. But again, Q4 is almost good enough that they can just exist as a company only off of their Q4 sales. But this is something that I'd like to see over time, specifically if they can kind of be profitable the entirety of the year. That's going to be incredible for their business brand. Now, overall, looking at any metric for Turtle Beach, they're almost a completely different company from what they were 3 years ago. They really did underperform for a while there, but it seems to that they've, at least once they kind of prioritized adding to the portfolio of products and trying to branch out and not just stay as the number one headset player in console, and really try and branch out to now controllers and mouse and keyboards, and then even the sim technology. It really looks like they have actually kind of reinvigorated their brand and tried to pick up new customers, which I really appreciate. Now, we're going to get into specifically the finance portion of this, looking at the investments, because Turtle Beach was a company that, again, just going over its sales, compared to its market cap, you're getting significantly higher sales than even its market cap. And so it trades kind of at a pretty cheap value. I mean, the PE ratio is 14.93. Price to sales, as I mentioned, is 0.58. So again, you are getting for $1, for 60 cents, you're basically getting $1 of sales. I really like that. Price to free cash flow of 15, not fabulous, but not horrible. Consistent improvements in the past 3 years of all of their margins, as well as ROA and ROE. Turtle Beach also came out with their Q1 earnings a couple weeks ago, and it was pretty impressive. So they had revenues of $64 million, which was up 14% year over year, primarily driven by full quarter of contributions, as you can read on the screen there. Their gross margins did actually jump up around 4.7% year over year for Q1 2024. So this is something I like to see with those growth in margins. Their operating expenses did decrease to 34% of revenue compared to 42% in the prior Q1. And as I've mentioned, we're going to get into this in a bit. If you look at the net income, diluted earnings per share, adjusted EBITDA, these aren't great. But as it mentions specifically right here, a lot of that is coming from inventory that was lost in transit, and they're now starting to get some of their insurance money back. So it did kind of just put a halt in the road there that you don't necessarily like to see. But overall, that's not something I'm particularly worried about, because it's not necessarily that the business model's drying up or nothing interesting. It's just that something happened that was out of their control, and now they're getting insurance payments from that. So Overall, I really like how Turtle Beach has allocated their capital in their new acquisitions. I think they're doing it in a way that is actually accredited to shareholders. They're not just being a serial acquirer to necessarily acquire companies that may or may not actually add to their portfolio. These are companies that I think definitely fit with the Turtle Beach brand and will allow them to kind of transition into that PC market and allow them to do good going forward. So, I mean, me personally, I have a hard time imagining that the number one headset producer for console is going to have a really, really horrible time trying to steal any market share from PC. I don't think it's going to be instantaneous necessarily, because PC is quite competitive. I don't think they're going to come out and out the gates smoke or Razer or Corsair or Logitech or anything, but I do think they'll be offered, and I will go ahead and say that I've had much better experiences with Turtle Beach headsets over the years than a lot of different PC headsets I've gotten, so I think that this is a market they can branch into. I'm intrigued to see on the controller aspect. It sounds like they have actually acquired companies that make quite quality controllers, and we'll see again with the keyboard and mouse. But Turtle Beach is a brand that has a lot of recognition, especially from the Xbox 360 days, I'd say. And I think this is a company that's going to enjoy success as they kind of transition into the PC market more and try and just, instead of having a very, very, very solid thing, and they'll maintain the headset dominance on console for sure. I feel fully confident about that, but instead of just necessarily only being known for that and only mainly focusing on that, they're going to be branching out. I think this is going to be a years-long thing, but even if we just look at the current business and specifically how cheap the valuation is for a company that by market share is the largest player in console headsets, I feel very, very good overall that we could potentially be obtaining a company that is a leader in its space, does provide great services compared to competitors, enjoys much higher reviews on average in specifically what it's known for, and does, of course, have a bit of brand loyalty, especially for people who maybe play console and then they want to move over to PC. I did that, and I'd be very open-minded to getting a Turtle Beach headset because specifically, and I'm sure there are definitely people who have very, very much focuses on brand loyalty above all, but me specifically for PC, I've gotten a wide variety of different mouses, different companies, keyboards. I basically just do it off of research, what has really good reviews. If there's something I'm like kind of picking between and one's on sale, I'll go that route usually. And I think a lot of people are there. So I don't necessarily know if they're going to make products that the hardcore competitive people are really into necessarily compared to some of the others, specifically with keyboards and mouses, but they could come out and surprise. And even if they don't, I do think there's going to be a place for their products. So I think overall this is going to be a great investment to add to the Microcap Mania portfolio. I'm really excited to see what 3-5 years down the line looks like for Turtle Beach. I really think that they deploy their capital in a way that's really exciting. Again, a lot of times I do like to see dividends with certain types of companies. I know we have a couple positions in the Microcap Mania portfolio that do offer dividends, but in something like tech, I'd much rather personally see the money go towards R&D that's actually working. Like if they have a good track record of being able to create better and better and better products that steal more market share, I'm all for that. Or if they're doing acquisitions that again are accredited to shareholders and kind of expand their portfolio in a good way, don't suck up too much capital, I'm really excited to look at that. So overall, Turtle Beach is going to be added to the portfolio. I'm really excited to see what this does in our portfolio moving forward. Thank you again for checking out today's episode. Anything to look forward to in the future? Again, it's kind of a busy summer for me, but I'm going to try and consistently at least do once a week minimum. Probably a lot of times if like This week I'll get a chance to do 2 a week, so looking forward to that. I'm trying to have all of the capital deployed in our Microcap Mania portfolio in probably a few months here. I think I've been having a really fun time kind of doing a slow, gradual process, and that kind of allows things to play out. I know with Turtle Beach specifically, this is actually one I've been thinking on for quite some time now, about over 3 or 4 weeks. And mainly that was just because I was doing my investment research. I kind of liked the valuation it was at. I obviously know Turtle Beach as a company, dig through the financial statements, and I saw a lot of positive trends, and maybe it could be an acquisition target, I was thinking. And then I just saw that they were about to report their earnings, and that would kind of see if they kind of just stumbled off course and they weren't kind of growing things how I'd want them to grow things, whether or not. But they did do pretty well for their earnings. Of course, you can't always be accountable for something in transit getting lost. And again, they're receiving insurance payments for a reason. So overall, I think that this is definitely going to probably be on pace to be one of the better years for Turtle Beach. I know with their specific guidance, they weren't feeling fully confident with that, but just seeing their Q1 trends so far, I'd be very surprised. But again, they think 2026 is going to be a major boom year. So regardless, I think this is a company that for the valuation I can get it at is going to really, really benefit the Microcap Mania portfolio. It may not be the most explosive version of tech growth I could find with a PE of 300 or something, but I think that this is for more of a value approach. This is going to be a great add to the Microcap Mania portfolio. Okay, thank you for checking out today's video. I really appreciate your time. Feel free, if you made it this far, to leave a comment if you'd like it, or if you think that I have potential as a financial YouTuber, feel free to subscribe. I don't care. Thank you guys. Bye.